What's up, guys? We got another good one. We got the man, the myth, and the legend, Inked Plumber.
What's going on?
Welcome to the Addicted to Success podcast, where we talk about success in all forms: small business, motivation, personal development, inspiration, and overcoming obstacles and adversity like a fucking pro. All right, what's up, man? I've been following you on TikTok for a little while. Reached out, wanted to get in contact with you. Obviously, you're an entrepreneur. You got your own plumbing business, and you got all that going on. So we just want to really hear the journey on this podcast. We talk about the adversities, the problems, and just becoming successful in all forms. So what we want to get started on today is how did you go, first off, with the idea of starting your own business? And what are some of the early processes or stages that you did when you decided you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
I think first and foremost, I saw the money. I got good at plumbing. I did side jobs and I saw how good the money was. And then once I saw how good the money was, it put in my head that this is what I want to do. But in order for me to do this, I have to do A, B, and C. I have to take the classes. I have to get the license. I have to put the time in, and then I can achieve that. So that was the drive. Was the money like anything else, I guess. And then I pretty much ran crews. I ran jobs. I ran everything from start to finish. I really didn't have anybody overlooking me in the last few years. And so I knew I could do it. I knew I could do the scheduling. The biggest hurdle for me was bidding jobs because I didn't know how to bid jobs. I asked around, and people are really helpful until you get your license. And they'll tell you that they'll help you. But as soon as you get your license or you're going to go out on your own, you're a competitor. And people kind of shut up and be quiet and don't help you as much anymore. So that was the hardest part, was kind of figuring out where I was going to price things, where I was making money or I'm not making money, or I'm gouging people or I'm not. Or I had people telling me I was crazy, people telling me I was low. And then once I found that kind of median, then it kind of just took over and started coasting. But the hardest thing for me in the very beginning was pricing.
Well, I heard you talk about your licensing, and I'm going through some things with my landscaping licenses. So with a landscaping license in Mississippi, you have to have 2 years under an apprentice or so. What was the process that it took for you to get licensed to become a plumber?
You have to have 4 years, 40 hours a week, 4,000 hours, I think. God, it's been like a long time since I took the test. But you have to have that. You have to back that with IRS tax records to prove it. You have to have it signed off by the licensed plumber that was above you. And then once you get all that, you apply. They do a background check on you, check all your paperwork, make sure all that's good. And then you get approved to actually take the state exam. It's got a 26% pass rate. It's like the hardest test you'll ever take in your life.
Wow.
But you only have to take it once. Took me 3 times. But once you get that, you pass the test, then you're a licensed master tradesman of whatever. I mean, plumbing, of course. But I don't know about the other ones. But after you do that, then you're licensed. You can either go and work for another company, or you can start your own business. So it's pretty much whatever you want to do. Some guys get their license just for the pay raise at work. Some guys don't want the responsibility or the headache of a business. So they just know that if they get their license, that you pretty much can make whatever you want. I mean, guys will pay you outrageously if you're licensed, because most guys that are licensed are out on their own. And then if you're not out on your own, you're like gold, pretty much, because they can attach your license to their company. It does a lot of positive for them, especially a big company.
That's
100, 200 employees.
Heck yeah. So I got to meet your family and your wife. And so when you came and to your wife, how did you approach that? I'm fixing to take a gamble. I'm about to go on my own. What were some things? Because I've had other entrepreneurs tell me, I've had good things with the wife, bad things with the wife, like it was hard. So how was your transition? First off, just talking to your wife about it, And then, how did that go building a business, involving your wife?
I knew I was good. I'm not cocky. I mean, I am cocky
Yeah.
about my plumbing, but I knew I was good. I knew my work would keep me successful and would build my company. We were doing okay. I mean, we weren't broke, but we weren't balling. We were living paycheck to paycheck. We maxed out her credit cards to send me to the classes. I went to classes before I took a test, not because I didn't know how to plumb, but because the test is open book and it's completely different than what I do every day. And the answers will mess you up because, hangers on PVC are every 4 foot. But in my head at work, I do it every 3 foot. So I never fail an inspection. Well, when you go and take the test, 3 is an option. So if you pick 3, knowing that that's above and beyond just because that's what you do every day, you fail. So I went and took classes to kind of teach me the code book and the bare minimum, because on a day-to-day basis, I go above and beyond the bare minimum of the state code. So I had to go and learn the bare minimum and how the state sees plumbing systems and how the diagrams are laid out. And that was the first hurdle. It was right. I think it was over $1,000, but that got me all my books, which was a lot of money. $1,000 was a lot of money to us. That was like our rent. So we maxed out a couple of credit cards doing that. And then I went and took the class. And then I knew once I did that and I got approved, and then I started doing the paperwork to take my test. And then I knew, and I told her, I was like, well, if I can't pass this test, if I can't get my license, then it doesn't matter. I was like, but if I get my license, I can make this work. So I took the classes, I took the test, I passed the test on the 3rd try, I got my license. And then it was kind of like, well, I got my license to open my own company. So then we started figuring out how to do that. We had to go through all kinds of channels. We had to figure out how to set up an LLC, figure out how to get insurance started, figure out how to get workman's comp, figure out how to get everything set with the Secretary of State or whoever. Thank God my wife, who works full time, I do own a company, but she works full time. But she works with money. She's an accountant. She kind of knew the avenues, but we really didn't know. So we kind of had to take a couple of months, pay down our debts, and then we maxed them out again to lawyers to set up our LLCs, to write our what is that? Your chapters of whatever for your business.
I just paid a company to do
yeah, it's above my pay grade. It's above my pay grade. But I didn't want it screwed up. I didn't want it messed up. So we opted to pay an attorney to do it. So we didn't have to do the back and forth mumbo jumbo with the state. We took care of that. The biggest and the next hardest hurdle was insurance, because our credit was okay, but it wasn't immaculate. You're a brand new company. So insurance companies want a lot up front, or they want the whole thing up front, which, on a $2 million policy isn't, but $2,200, $1,900. So you're $1,500 into the attorney, you're $1,100, everything becomes $1,000. So we went through a couple of months of you need to file this, you need to do this. This is going to be $1,000, that's going to be $1,000. You get all this paperwork together, and then you go to the bank, and then you get by that time you've got your tax ID, and we kind of hurdled through all that. And then it became time to where, okay, it's time for you to plumb. So I was working 40 hours a week for another plumbing company. I had given him his company truck back and was working out of my personal vehicle because I was doing my work on the side at nights. And then it went on, and we kind of had I don't remember, we had a falling out. I don't remember what it was, but it pretty much was, it was a kick in the ass to just, if you're going to do it, stop talking about it and do it. It didn't feel right. I wasn't ready. I didn't want to do it, but I'm happy he did, because it made me go out and, pretty much I took my last paycheck, opened the bank account, because we had to have $100 to open our business bank account. So I took my last paycheck. We opened the business account, and the company was born. It was actually open. And then I sat for a couple days and I would get a job. And I sat for a couple days and I would get a job. And I went through probably 6 months where I only worked 2 days a week, 3 days a week. But I knew how much I made working 40 hours for somebody else. So I knew even if I was working 1 day a week, as long as I was making that amount of money, I'm not losing. I may not be rich. I may not be making a ton of money, but I'm making what I was making. And when you do that for yourself, that's a big achievement.
Oh yeah.
Because then you can kind of figure out, I can make this in 1 day, 2 days. I don't need to work that. And then people are kind of like, well, you're sitting at home, but it's like, so I'm making what I made. Why does it matter?
Now, when you talked about taking your test 3 times, when you failed and you had to come home and tell your wife, I failed, and then when you failed again and had to come in, and then finally, you passed it, like, what was that like, having to know that you're trying to commit to this very big thing for your family, and you go take that shot in the nuts that you just failed the test?
So so there's 2 parts. You have a plumbing exam and you have a business exam. The business exam is all about your taxes of owning a company. Taxes, payroll, insurance, anything that has to do with running that business. So you have a section on that, and you have a section on the actual North Carolina plumbing code. The first time I took the test, I passed the business and I failed the plumbing. So I was like, well, I got one, but I missed the other. I have to try it again. And plus, by this time, I already had in my head, like, you're going to own a business. You're going to pass this test. The pass rate, they will tell you, is 26%. So I knew going into it, like, I'm not going to pass this on the first try. Everybody knew, my wife, myself, we're just going to go see what this is about. We're going to go see what it's like. We're going to see what kind of questions there are, and then we can go from there. And then once you fail, back when I took it, you had to wait 90 days, 3 months, and then you take it again. But I'm still working 40 hours a week. I'm still making money. I'm still okay. I'm not missing out on anything. So the second time I took it, I failed the business and I passed the plumbing. So I was like, well, I've passed them both now and I've failed them both now. It's like, I've got it. One more time, I've got it. So 3 months went by, I took it. And they don't give you a letter grade or a percentage. It just says pass or fail. And back then, now it's immediate. You find out immediately after you finish the test. Back then, you had to wait for it to be mailed to you. So I had to sit on needles for 2 weeks. And finally got it, and I had passed, and I cried, and I said, that's it. We're good. We're good. We're golden. I can take care of it from here.
Those small and big wins are so much, especially in the beginning when you're getting knocked down and, shit's going wrong, you're failing tests, money's tight, you're maxing out credit cards, but that just makes those wins just feel so much better. I can only imagine when I get my license that there's not going to be a price because of all the dedication that I did to get it. So I can only imagine how great that feeling felt.
That's right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So now you've got your license. How do you find work? What's the next step?
So I had been the lead plumber on so many job sites, and basically I built my career around new homes, new construction. I had a name in the construction world. People knew me by my work, by how nice my plumbing was. So when I left, people kind of came to me. At first it was small houses, small remodels. And then after a while, people just started coming because companies were messing up and things weren't, or they were having arguments, and I I made this promise to the last 2 or 3 guys I worked for. I said, if I ever start my company, I'll never come after your contractors. But if they call me, it's fair game. So that started happening. You would see guys at the gas station. Hey man, you still working for so and so? I haven't seen you on the job in a while. No man, I started my own company. Here's a business card. You know, that's it. And they started getting calls, and then it just snowballed. But I had a reputation before I didn't just jump in to the wolves. I had a name out there, and I had a name through other tradesmen, electricians, HVAC guys, tile guys. So if they were on jobs and contractor was like, man, I really need a plumber, it was like, call my boy Kevin. I didn't do any kind of Google advertisement. I made a company Facebook page, and of course Google automatically puts your business information on there, you know, your hours, your address, blah 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 blah. So I got that. I paid like $1,500 my first year for a go-kart at the local little fun zone that they had go-karts. So I sponsored a go-kart. It cost me like $1,500 for the year, but I had my phone number, my business name all over it. So when everybody was driving go-karts, you could see it. But that was pretty much kind of like a cool thing rather than like a get me business thing. I didn't pay for any advertisement. My business is built on word of mouth.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
100% word of mouth.
That's awesome and hard to do. I did a bunch of social media advertising when I first started mine, got into like content marketing and stuff like that. And it's a lot of work, but the fact that obviously your work's good,
yeah,
to be able to do that.
And I knew that. That's why when I wanted to go out on my own, I was like, if I can get their credentials and I can become legal, I can make money. And I know I can.
Heck yeah. So you weren't in any way like scared, or you just knew that you could do it?
No, I was scared to death. I had 3 kids. But I knew that if I could make it work, that I could be comfortable no matter the economy. Yeah. I'm always needed. You're always going to have to go to the bathroom. You're always going to have to wash your hands. You're always going to want to take a shower.
All right. Sorry about that. So you were working 5 or 6 days a week during COVID?
Yeah, 5 or 6 days a week during COVID. When COVID first hit, it scared the shit out of me. I thought new construction, because that's what I do, remodels, new construction is going to fail. It's going to stop. People are going to hoard their money. They're not going to build anymore. And it never stopped. It never stopped. We kept going, and kept building and kept building and kept building. And it grew. So, I mean, we've made it through COVID. I've made it through back when I first went into business, people were like, well, you can't really say you're a business until you make it for 2 years. And I was like, okay. So that was like my first goal. Like, I have to make it 2 years. Then I can tell these people that I've been in business for 2 years. And then I made it 2 years. And people were like, well, you're really not going to make it until you do it for 5 years. And I was like, okay. So this year is my 5th year.
So you made it.
I've made it. I've made it 5 years. But in the beginning, this is going to sound crazy, but I went in with the mindset that as long as more comes in than goes out, I'm always okay. Yeah. And I lived on that. And there in the beginning, I talked earlier about problems with bids and problems with money. I knew that even if jobs didn't go like I wanted or there was mess ups, as long as I had more money coming in than went out, I was okay. And everything was fine.
Yeah. When I was bidding jobs and learning, I used to sit in front of in the truck and go, it's better to not do the job and not make any money than to do the job and not make the money. But you're just so hungry for work.
Yeah. And I've lost money. I mean, you can't be in business and say you haven't lost money. That's just how the cookie crumbles. I mean, it's going to happen. People aren't going to pay you. Things are going to go horribly wrong. Something's going to be there that you didn't estimate for, that you didn't know was going to be there. It's going to happen. And you just kind of have to take that kick in the chest and move on. And what'll really bite you in the foot is if you try to pass that on to the customer. Mm-hmm. If you take that, extra 4 hours of labor and you don't eat that, and you go over your bid, you'll never have that customer again.
Exactly.
I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. It's better to, whatever number you give them,
stick to it.
Unless it is a change by them, you stick to it. Even if you lose money, even if you lose because they're going to go to their friend and they're going to say, I called so-and-so and they did it. And they actually had to do a little bit of extra and they didn't even charge me. Good boys. You need to call them. And that's exactly how it goes down. And I say this, you can't trip over dimes for dollars, man. When somebody calls you for something simple, that's loose, tighten it, you're there 5 minutes, tell them to have a good day. Yeah. Have a good day. You'll catch them when they're doing the whole house remodel. You'll catch them when a storm happens and they need somebody to come work at their house. You'll catch them when they fire somebody that they don't like working for them no more. They'll be like, remember that guy that came and did that for free on that Friday night? Promise. Heck, sounds stupid.
But they're always buying you.
I promise.
They're buying your personality and you and the service that you do. And
that's right.
So when you first started, obviously the wife was supportive.
Yeah.
What about other people when you said, I'm going to go out? We're like, oh, it takes 2 years. I was met with everybody's yanking trailers. Everybody's doing this. Like, isn't it crazy how negativity comes with a business, but if you get a job, everybody's happy for you?
Well, at first, I didn't really get any negativity. I mean, I'm sure people said a bunch that I didn't hear. I mean, I'm positive about that. Nobody really said it. A lot of people told me how hard it was going to be. A lot of people told me that I didn't have the business background to do it. A lot of people, I think, thought that it was something smaller than it was, if that makes sense. I think that people kind of looked at it like it was a weekend gig. Mm-hmm. Like I'm a handyman. And then once I started not even really flexing, but small things, buying brand new vehicles, building a brand new house, eyebrows start to raise. Like, damn, maybe he's running a legitimate company.
I had people give me bad advice, negative advice, didn't listen to them, built a successful business, and then they circle back to give me more advice. Like
you listened to him in the first place. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be where I'm at.
Exactly.
The thing is everybody's different. Every business is different. Everybody's time is different. So you can't really ask somebody when's the right time for me, because it's different for everybody. But the best time, honestly, is when somebody just kicks you in the ass and puts you in the middle of the road, because then it's sink or swim.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Burn the bridges.
So you either make it or you don't make it. But then I tried, but I failed. And I failed because of this. Then if you want to try again, I got to fix this.
Exactly.
And then I can do it again. But people are scared to jump. Yeah. You have to jump. And you have to fail. Being an entrepreneur is like this. You have really high highs and really low lows. If you can handle the low lows and get to the highs, you're fine. The other thing is, when you're in the highs, it's really cool to have a $100,000 boat and a $100,000 truck and a $500,000 home and keep up with the neighbors. But save that. Invest back into your business. Invest back into yourself. And then, once you have the money, then go for it. I've seen a lot of guys make a lot of money the first year. And then, I'll be honest, when you own a business, you're not used to that kind of money. Unless you just grow up rich.
It's new.
And you're around rich people your whole life. You're not used to thousands. I was making $2,000, $1,800 a week. And that was big money. I was like, dude, I'm killing it.
All right.
But then you go to $20,000 a month parts bills. You go to $5,000, $6,000 a month in payroll. And these are grown ass men that have families, that have bills, that depend on you. So you have this wad of money.
And everybody wants a bit of it.
And everybody wants a piece of it. And you can go and buy the world, man, and flex. But it'll hurt you. It'll hurt you. The first couple of years, if you don't, you have to put that money back in there. Put it back in there and grow.
Not only that, a lot of entrepreneurs who are new into it, I wasn't a business owner in 2008. 2008 was rough. I worked, and it was hard to get work. It was hard. All the business owners I know, they'll have such a cushion because they're like, you always got to be prepared for another 2008.
That's right. That's right. You always want 3 months, at least 3 months. You break your arm, you're down for 6 weeks. You got money in the bank.
Exactly.
You break your leg, you're down for 2 months, you got money in the bank. 3 months. Most surgeries and anything that's going to happen to you on a job site, stitches, anything like that, you can be pretty cured up in 3 months. You keep a cushion for all your bills for 3 months, you should be okay to start. And then just start to build that. Man, I'm good for 6 months. Man, I'm good for 9 months. And then when you're slow, you and the wife go somewhere 2 weeks and you're not hurting your pocket.
Isn't it nice to be able to afford the little extras? Now that you've put in the sacrifice, now that the years are going by, now you can go on that vacation. You can.
Well, I always looked at it like I'm not trying to make a killing. I'm trying to make a living. I don't want a Ferrari. I don't want, I'm not trying to be a millionaire. I just want to be able to, if my kids want to go to Disney World this summer, I want to be able to go to Disney World. I want to be able to buy the max of the max. My wife wants a brand new SUV. I want to be able to go buy a brand new SUV. If I want to build a house, I want to be able to build a house. Yeah. I want to be able to do what I want to do and not have to sit at a table and go over my finances for the next month and worry about, well, this is going to cost us like $3,000. I just want to be able to go and do it. But we've lived below our means for so long to be able to do that. Because, I've got 3 kids. I've got daycare. I've got car notes. goddamn, I just built a brand new house.
Right.
I've got money coming out of my earlobes. But we lived tight.
That's how you build.
Tight, debt-free and tight. I ran my company for the first 2.5 years with no debt and no credit because I didn't have credit to get credit. So I had to hustle.
But see, that taught you the foundations. Yeah. And you had to make a profit. You had to do this or
you're done.
You weren't going to eat.
Yeah.
That's
so right.
that must and that having to do it really probably helped you. I know my back was against the wall. Like everybody was counting on me. I had a kid, like there was no, can this happen? Like how do we got to do this?
It has to happen. How can we make this happen?
Yeah. So
ASAP.
I've noticed, so my problem in the beginning was I wanted it all. I wanted to be the big business. So you never had the over ambition of the millionaire. You just wanted to be comfortable, decent house and everything.
Yeah. I ran with one guy for 5 years. I run one crew, me and a helper. And that's it. I don't run anybody else because I don't want the 5 call-ins on Friday. I don't want the baby mama drama. I don't want the pack of cigarettes every morning. I don't want I got a flat tire. I don't want to babysit. I can pay my help good and I can make a damn good living with me and one guy and I don't have half the headache that awesome. People do. And people stand by, well, your company's not this because you don't have 20 employees. Bro, I guarantee you that the company with 20 employees, the owner is making the same thing I am because his overhead is quadruple what mine is. So yeah.
Problems go, they get big.
Yeah. I run one truck. My motor goes out, that's one motor. Tires go bad, that's 4 tires. Run 20 trucks. Pay the fuel for 20 trucks. The payroll for 20 trucks. The healthcare for 20 trucks. Anything, and it will beat you down. And most guys that you talk to that have ran a business for longer than 10 years, that's huge, not even huge, we'll say more than 25 employees, will tell you that it was better when they had 1 or 2.
Same exact thing.
100%.
100% get told the same thing.
It's not worth the headache. It's not worth the headache.
They said just focus on profitability.
Yep.
Making sure you're the most profitable.
Yeah, because nobody's going to work like you work for your own company. Not even your help. Not even my help. Not even the guy that helps me. And we're a two-man crew. He doesn't love my company as much as I do. He doesn't care about his work as much as I do. He goes home at 5 o'clock and he's like, I'm good. I don't have to worry about that shit till tomorrow. I got to come home and do paperwork and bills and bids and invoices and all this. And then I have to go in the next day. So, I mean, it's just smaller is better.
I tell my guys, before we get there and do the thing, whatever it is, landscaping, irrigate, whatever, it took so much to be able to just get to the job. We had to have insurance. We had to have payroll. We had to make sure guys, we had to schedule it. We had to get a bid. We had to get a draw. We had to do all these things before they just showed up to the job site.
That's right.
So there's so much behind it that a lot of people just don't realize.
And you don't realize it until you're in the position where you have to deal with it, where you have to deal with the $1,000 tool breaking that you need. And what do? If you don't have any money and you're dependent on the payment from that job to put money in the bank, what are you going to do? That's where that padding comes in. Because people are going to break shit. Because people don't care about your shit. They don't care about your trucks. They don't care about your tools. They care about getting it done as fast as they can and getting paid. That's anybody. There are some people out there that respect stuff, but that's just because their bosses are anal. But I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to buy security cameras for my guys. I don't want to know how fast you're going. I don't want to know where you're at 12:30 on Friday night. I don't want the cops calling me because you just went on a police chase because you took my truck to a drug deal and they busted you and you took off running and you flipped down an embankment. I don't want to deal with it.
It's always something with a bunch of people.
Oh, yeah. And the bad thing is when you're in a manual labor job, it's the stuff you deal with is just insane.
I've said I'm going to write a book just on the excuses.
Yeah.
And I swear some of them can't even make up some of the stories I've heard.
Nope.
So what, I saw you got the new house. What's the next 5 years look like for you? You just going to ball and chill, pay on the house, just not get any bigger and just keep grinding, stacking money?
I'm going to keep it the exact same way we are.
That's awesome.
It's working. Why change it?
Hey.
And I work in a job where I can always cut work. Right?
Your overhead, your materials, your tools you need. Like you showed me the tools that you needed for this. I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's crazy how little you can get into the business with.
Oh yeah. If you want to open a plumbing company, you don't need anything.
It's all experience.
Yeah. Hand tools and power tool kit from Home Depot. And 5-piece combo kit, some batteries, and some hand tools, and know how to do it.
Heck yeah.
You'll make it. I promise. It's easy. You don't even really have to be good at business, because look at me. I suck at it. I'm not good at it. But we made it.
Well, y'all heard it from the man himself. Go start a plumbing company.
Bye, guys.
Easy.
Later.